Yay. Welcome to the Front End Nerdery podcast, a podcast about front end design development and other things that we decide we want to talk about. Right, Homer? Yeah.
Anything that comes out of our faces.
Yeah.
Within
Today's
reason.
guest is a wonderful person who I think is, you have been a source of learning for me, Carie. Uh, for
Sorry.
the sorry.
That explains a lot. No.
Director of digital accessibility and what else? Geez, where'd my list go? Oh, good job, Todd. You wrote the learn accessibility course on web.dev that we'll get to. Plenty of articles,
which I actually shared today. I shared that with some folks today.
One of my favorite articles.
Sorry. I feel like this is the
This-
title of this podcast.
This episode will be titled "Sorry" and
a shrug emoji.
yes,
Right. Carie Fisher is sorry.
and it'll be apologetic through and through. One of my favorite articles, the SVG, accessible SVGs,
Facts.
and much more. Carie Fisher. Carie, how are you today?
Good. How are you too?
It's Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Let's jump into first the Learn Accessibility course. I have not had a chance to go through it yet. Shame on me.
What?
But I will at some point. I have actually, though. We wrote up a list that we use internally at my work to tell people to go here. If you please learn about accessibility, this is one of those resources. Tell us about that. How did that come to fruition, and how was the how was there? How did it go, and how was it going?
Feel like another shrug emoji is appropriate. It was something that took a while to get off the ground and just kind of serendipitously just fell in my lap. I think somebody else was maybe tagged to do it originally and had to bow out. And so I jumped in, which was great. So I was like, if anyone's going to do it, like, I know, maybe I won't get everything right because I'm human, but I know that I have some thoughts and there's certain topics that I wanted to make sure that we covered. And it's one of those things that when you think about it, like when you write a very detailed article, or you do a talk about something specific, you can get into the nuances, you can get into the caveats that in this context, but when you talk about something general for the general public, for people who are beginners, who may be overwhelmed by things like acronyms and other terminology, and just like the overwhelming presence of the accessibility community, to get it right, right? I think it can get I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're writing something in a deep dive, it's almost easier than writing something for a general audience when you have to encompass as much as you can within like the parameters of a 1,500 word type essay. So to me, it was a challenge. Like, what do you include? What do you not include? What do you reference? Which types of references? Is it, organizations or individuals, or obviously W3C and Y group for sure, and other, reputable sources like that. But Mozilla, lots of Mozilla there. But the real question becomes is, how do you distill all these years of information and all the people that we know in the community and all the things, the perspectives also of people with disabilities and different individual and community perspectives in that as well? Because I think that's the piece that always seems to be taken out of courses about accessibility. We really focus on the code only. And like the human aspect always seems to be like, where's that, And so I think it felt, I hadn't really thought about how to respond to this kind of question, but it's like, it felt overwhelming And I hope that I did it justice. And I know you haven't looked at it, Todd, but when you do look at it, it is an open source project. So, if we do, if there are things that need to be modified, you always had the opportunity to put in a PR, open up a question as well. So, good and bad to that as well. So, as you know,
So I noticed that it's an ongoing
Mhm.
project. It's living. The documents are changing, and every now and then, that new badge will pop up over a new section. And I remember some tweets a while back where you were like, I got some new stuff coming. I was just like, oh, okay, cool, bet. She's updating. How does that go? Because it's
Mhm.
not just like you're just maintaining a blog where you can just casually write your thoughts out. As you said, you have to carefully curate the knowledge that is going into
Mhm.
each of these lessons so that people can understand at any level what's going on. How do you keep that momentum? How do you fight through that writer's block, so to speak, when
Mm.
you get there and it's just like task paralysis? I got so many ideas. How do I even put these things together when they don't want to fit seamlessly like I want them to?
Mhm.
How do you work through that? Asking for a
Yeah.
friend.
Asking for a friend. Well, I don't know if my experience is as the way that you want to go about it either, but I'm deadline driven as an individual. So even if it's arbitrary, even if it's something I put in my head, like it has to be done by this certain date, for some reason I can like trick myself into saying, okay, I'm going to get it done. So, but
Okay.
in this case, I also had editors. So I got to work with Rachel Andrew and
Mhm.
Alexandra White from Google on the web dev team. And there are a couple other editors that we had, copywriters. And so there was kind of a team effort to keep engaged and to also, we had check-ins every other week. So that kept me motivated. Most of my check-ins were, I don't have this module done, but I have a demo for it. So usually it kind of worked backwards, right? Because I love the code and I'm a front-end developer by trade, and I was one for over 15 years. And so for me, the inspiration is kind of the fun part is the code. So I do the demo essentially in CodePen, and then I'd show it to them. I'd say, what do you think about this so
And
far,
right
this
around it.
premise? Yeah. And then I'd write around it.
Yeah.
And then it became easy, so to speak, because then it's just a task of like, how did I get to that point? Like I can just create it, but if I take a step back and I walk through, and obviously that was the hardest modules of all were the ones that didn't have demos. So the first two modules are about, representation, disability types, and WCAG, and like, how do you do, conformance testing, that sort of thing, like general information. Those to me were the hardest ones to write because they were dense, right? There's so much to take from, and there were no demos to build around. So
Yeah, no. And it's also hard to visualize a lot of those as well.
yeah.
You just can't have some cool graphics that are there to support those particular topics. So no, I definitely get it. Like I said, I was asking for a friend, and that friend is me, because I'm trying to be more active with my blog, and I'm running into the same issues. And yeah, the ones where I have demos, easy.
Yeah.
The ones without the demos, it's like they're sitting over there just chilling,
Yeah.
waiting for me to write on them still. So okay, cool, good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
How many modules are you planning out?
Well, I mean, technically we ended the modules. So I think we ended up with 20, maybe it's 20 or 19, something around that. But with the idea of, again, this is evergreen, and with WCAG 2.2 coming around the corner, we have some spaces in there to say, hey, once this is finalized, this is something that you may be aware of, but we don't have anything written around it because when we were doing the modules, it was in draft form still. And it still is technically in draft form, that it's hopeful in April, I think is the new release date. But they did say that last year. I know I was going to say, they said last year it was going to be earlier, and then, yeah, it happens. So we have some kind of things penciled in, and there's certain things that when we wrote the outline back in, so I wrote an outline of things I would want to include way back in April. So almost a year ago. And then from there, we kind of picked and chose like the ones that we thought were most important to tackle first. But
Mhm.
there's a whole list of things that are kind of sitting there that may be potentially written about in the future. Maybe
Okay.
it'll be me, maybe it'll be another developer, somebody that comes in to write those. I'm not quite sure what that future is, but technically I'm done. I'm out of there.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
So it is
So
what
you,
it is right now.
so you said you had a lot of these ideas almost a year ago. How does that
Yeah.
feel? To even just think, it's like, wow, we started this, and
Mhm.
yeah, this stuff is becoming a reality from last year.
Mhm.
How you're putting this together and how it's being received. How does that
Yeah.
make you feel?
Well, it feels weird in a sense that I don't like when you write a blog post or you do a presentation, you might have set dates of like when it's going to be released, but
Mhm.
typically it's not months, ahead of time. So, but I am in academia now. I am working on my PhD in human computer interaction. Yeah, done with
Congrats.
courses and just doing research. But even right, I did a survey last fall, and I've done the writing around it, but by the time you apply to get that put into an academic journal or
Mhm.
academic conference, like literally year and a half can go by. And so
This stuff's
it's
out of
like
date. Things change.
it does, but I guess what I was trying to say is that in the dev world, in the, corporate world, it's like fast, fast, fast. The sooner you put it out, the better. And then in the academic world, it's almost the opposite. So that web dev project was somewhere in between. So I guess I'm comfortable with
Okay,
all kinds of different timelines these days. But
that's
yeah,
good. Be flexible. Good deal. All right, I was
yeah,
just curious about that. Thanks.
no, yeah.
So I was in,
But don't do as I do, right? Do your own thing for sure. Like write
You
it
know,
and publish it. Don't sit on
I'm
it.
trying, like Todd knows my whole journey through music. It's like I used to sit on my music and sit on it and sit on it until all of it was stolen one night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so now it's just like, all right, whenever I write something, I want to put it out. So I record music and I just go ahead and release it. I don't sit on it anymore. And the same thing with the blog. It's like I have all these ideas and people have been telling me, you need to go write, you need to go write, you need to, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Now I'm there, but if just to get started, it feels like I'm doing a tough mud mile through, molasses.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
guess I do the things that scare me the most. And web dev definitely scared me. Some things I've done in like smashing or going back to school or even taking the job I have now. I don't know how to necessarily do any of these things, really, let's be honest. But I'm trying. And I think that's part of it, right? Just kind of doing the things that scare you
yeah,
because I mean, what's going to happen? What's the worst that could happen, really? I mean, really, you fall
you
flat on your
learn,
face, I guess. But yeah, those are
and
the times
that's a
you learn the
learning
most.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So go for it, Homer. I say publish that.
All right, cool. I'm doing it.
yes, yes. I,
Do it.
I have been a part of those W3C meetings, and
So how's that going?
I'm glad I didn't have to pay for the ticket. Uh, they actually, the last meeting we had went very, very well. So I think we're on target. But yeah, it's there. The big hang up was focus appearance
Yeah,
and
I was going to ask you about that.
the wordsmithing behind it.
Yeah.
There was many a meeting where there was the words, what do we use here, what do we use there, and the usual W3C shenanigans. So
Plain English, people.
Plain English. Yeah.
Just,
yes,
or
it's
be more plain language. Just,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, and so mind you, it's still 2.2. 3, I hope, will drastically change so that it's not so much a technical manual anymore.
mhm.
I'm really hoping that's the case. But back to
Can I be honest though, Todd? Like
sure.
2.2, like I thought about tweeting this and then I didn't. Speaking of things that scare you, right?
Wait, you thought about tweeting it, you didn't, so you're going to say it.
I am.
Okay.
which is going to get me in worse trouble probably because I can't get excited about 2.2. I can get excited about 3, but like I have
Yeah.
people that I know and clients and individuals that I work with and other people that work with, they can barely do 2.1. And 2.0, I had to look
Facts.
it up. It was like, I think it was 2008 or something that it came out. And I was like,
Mhm.
wow. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I am excited. Maybe 3.0 will spin it all on its head because there is a lot of interpretation that seems to have to happen, or maybe doesn't have to, but it does because of the way things are worded. That leaves it more open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Um,
And the good thing I see coming down the line with 3.0 is, or 3, whatever we want to call it, it's got a new thing every week, it seems.
Mhm.
Is that I think it's not as so much a radical change as a necessary change for the better.
Yeah.
And that once we once we get 2.2 done and we're all able to focus on 3 and what's coming ahead, um I think it's going to be a lot better in the long run. Mind you, I still have some reservations about
Mm-hmm.
certain things, of course, but I do like the fact that we have the APCA scoring for color contrast, which is a lot better than what we currently have now. Now, mind you, I've seen some of the math behind the APCA scoring, and I had to leave the room. I wasn't smart enough to be in that room because
Those
it's just,
those formulas are wicked.
it is
They are.
incredible. It's
Yeah, they are.
incredible work. It's a lot of, and we all know this, a lot of really, really smart people doing some really, really good work. And
Mhm.
hopefully in the long run that we'll have something that the public can say, this is absolutely wonderful to have. So,
Mhm.
and my big thing is I want people that are starting out in accessibility and starting to learn accessibility to be able to understand the documents. That's the biggest thing.
Indeed. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to have more of a cognitive presence in 3, version 3, right?
Um,
Because right now it's dealing more with just our tactile senses and so forth. We're not really digging into the cognitive side of accessibility.
I I don't want to give a definitive answer, but I think so.
Well, that, yeah, because it's still, everything is still up in the air with
Yeah.
it. But I know that they were leaning more towards that.
Yes, they were. The stuff that I'm doing,
What are you doing, Todd?
the work on deceptive patterns.
Oh, that racist.
Mm. A little bit behind that, Carie. I had some white men walk out on my talk because I brought up the racial connotation behind the term dark patterns.
They were offended and left.
He's giving this
mean,
talk. He
Shruggy
came
emoji.
off like Paul Mooney.
Shrug emoji.
Shrug
Right,
emoji.
shrug emoji. Yeah,
I'm
he came off
sorry.
like Paul Mooney, and they got up and they left, and we kind of just chuckled about it. This is like,
Oh, you don't want to offend the white, JavaScript bros out there. They're very delicate.
I think I did enough of that with my Tailwind post on Mastodon.
no, we're not
Drama.
going there.
No.
We're not going into a Tailwind talk again.
No. We have a guest. We could do that in a separate episode, Homer.
Oh man.
So, I looking at this, and when I first originally looked at Learn Accessibility, I was like, oh, okay. Rachel's on this, and I don't know Alexandra, but Mark Stedman, there's
I tagged him. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Mark is great, and I don't
Mhm.
know Aaron, but it looks, from what I've been able to just skim through briefly here, um, it looks great. I I like the setup, and I like the, kind of reminds me of the MDN docs a little bit. But then
Hmm.
you have certain parts where, like on forms, you have that little interactive part at the end. I like that.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah,
like
go through and take your quiz.
I'm not going to tell you how I did on that
This
one.
dude.
Some of those are tricky, that's for sure. You know, I like a few years back, I was on that W3C had their own kind of intro to accessibility, and everyone kind of had their own module that they taught. I was part of that that group as well.
Okay.
And honestly, the hardest part was writing the questions. In this case, Alexandra got to write all the questions, so I got
Oh,
to
nice.
avoid
There you
that,
go.
which was great because she was newer, and so for her to have that new perspective to like read through and say, you know, does this question make sense, and what is the answer?
Mm.
You know, it was kind of she was essentially our target audience, so we worked around her to like write these questions. But before, yeah, writing questions is a lot harder than it looks. So don't don't feel bad if you get tripped up by them. They're just there to, you know, maybe you need to read it again. I don't know, maybe
Read it again, Todd.
or twice or three
let
times.
let me tell you, when doing anything like that, or something that I really need to have the knowledge, I'll read 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So, and
Fair.
even take notes. So
Yeah, some things read it once and it's
Mhm.
there. Some other things takes practice. You know, you just got to go through it because it's hitting the wall and it's sliding right off.
yep,
That is about
like,
it.
like my
So
phone,
I do
like
have a
my phone.
confession. So around the time that you started this project,
Mhm.
I was starting to work on modules for basically teaching accessibility as well. You guys launched before I did,
Oh,
so
well,
I
it
bailed
doesn't.
on it.
No, don't bail
No,
on it.
and
I
no,
think
the thing
it's
is, it
good.
was,
It's good to have
well,
like
you know,
multiple resources and perspectives and
we got those
yeah.
multiple resources, but at the same time, it's like the time and energy that you all put in. I was like, that imposter syndrome started hitting. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, maybe because yeah, you had way more courses than I had because I was still noodling through how I wanted to get
Mhm.
everything set up. Because when I first started giving talks about accessibility, I realized that we are starting at the beginning, even though it's
Mm.
been out there forever. We are at the beginning because, like you said, 2.1 has been out since 2008, and you still have people who are like, I'm going to use a div for a button. No, let's not do this. You know, so we still have a lot of work to do to bring people up to speed, you know, even in this day and age, which is why I wanted
Mhm.
to introduce it. But when I saw your product coming out, I was like, okay, way better. And maybe I
No.
should be able to focus on something else. So then I took what I was doing and actually threw them more into talks than actual content. So now that's how my talks have evolved. But yeah, it was definitely an eye opener. I was like, oh man, we don't need all these things out here doing this, do we? We can just funnel everybody over to here. The information is great. It's eventually going to evolve. So
Mhm.
cool. It's a number now. I celebrated it with you all because you did some amazing work with that project. So, and like I
I
said, I shared it today.
I
The
mean,
resources that you had on testing came in super handy today with me and some of my teammates.
I mean, I feel a lot of ways about those comments because I think first of all, you know, your perspective is valid and what you bring to the conversation, I think having not even read what you wrote, I think is still valid in the sense of, you know, it could be a different take or a different demo or a different way that you phrase something that might touch somebody in a different way or make them understand that they didn't get from
Mm-hmm.
this, right? Because I don't think we all, it's not like we read the encyclopedia and we back in the day or whatever, we're like one topic and you read the wiki about it and then like you know everything about it, right?
Yeah,
That just
fair,
gets you
fair.
interested, and then you go down different rabbit holes.
The other thing
and
that I
kind of
was concerned about with
develop and
was being considered or being viewed as copycat.
yeah, no,
Because you could read somebody's work and then
Mhm.
hope that that doesn't necessarily influence how your work comes out.
I don't think that, I mean, I
know?
understand your perspective, and I get that timing sometimes is just off, but there are courses that came before me. I worked at DQ for several years, and they have their
Yep.
own courses and
How was
trainings,
that?
but I'm just saying though, like, just because I did training at DQ and I understand their materials at the time, I'm sure they've evolved even, doesn't mean that I
Mhm.
can't give a training of my own and give my own perspective or highlight the things I think are most important to touch on based on the experiences that I've had with other individuals and companies. And so I think that's the same with you. Like in the case of, the resources will always be there. There'll always be more. We're always standing on the shoulders of giants. I don't think
Mhm.
I've made anything up that was innovative to the point where no one else could replicate that or do the same thing. I think, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that
No, I'm with you.
I'm
I
not,
understand.
even the people
And it's
who
and it's
invent
interesting that I'm
something.
hearing
Yeah.
this, and it's
Yeah.
interesting that you have that perspective, because other professionals that are in our space, when I've spoken to them about it, I get the exact opposite. Like, for instance, was Stencil
Mhm.
was working to build out a design system using Hugo and Stencil, and got berated because it was like, why do you want to come up with another accessibility or accessible design system and yada yada yada? Because, well, for one, the one you made was trash, and that started a whole nother conversation.
Should
But
I
this
love
is why.
that?
And,
Yeah.
but then it's like, well, why don't you just join in with one of the other ones that are already out there and
Mhm.
help make those better? I'm like, yeah, I would, but a lot of people are tone deaf when it comes to this.
Mhm.
You start to talk about or add these suggestions, and then we all know how the tech industry is, or I shouldn't say the industry, the tech bros, the people who
Mhm.
feel like, this is their end all to be all, and even the slightest suggestion that doesn't sound like praise bruises their ego. I mean, like we started talking about before,
Mhm.
we actually started recording, the fragility of it all. So, I try to avoid that because, one, I don't have
I
time for
know.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a whole
I
nother
hear that.
conversation.
I hear that. I hear that. I guess, I started my development career, as my background's in genetics. Like I started out not actually doing it, right? I was the person in the labs that actually built the websites and like made all
Mhm.
multimedia, because I was the only one who knew how to do it or wanted to learn how to do it. And so that's how I started my career in open
Nice.
source essentially and
Yeah.
academia. So like I think it's a little bit more collaborative in that sense. Not that there's
Mhm.
not egos and not that there's not, competing priorities, but I think for the most part we understand that it's an ecosystem and that I'm stronger by building off of something you built and your perspective and your code and something that you can contribute that I can't contribute, but I can also contribute this, right? And so together we're going to build a better organism than we would had we done our own in our own silo. So
Gotcha.
that's just kind of my way of doing things. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work in tech and business.
Now, I completely get, my background is in psychology and neurology.
Yeah,
So
well, there you
I
go.
get it.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
get it.
My
That's
background
probably
is
why
in,
what were you going to say, Todd?
I was going to say my background is in food and eating. So
all equal endeavors here.
Yes.
Uh,
Monsieur Lobster.
mm,
That's so funny. Now, every time I see anything related to lobster, I automatically associate with you. There's probably a psychology behind that Homer can unlock. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep, that word association. That is definitely his brand. And
Yes.
whenever he shows up, that's always a question. Somebody always asks him, "Do you have anything to wear that has lobsters on it, be it socks, underwear?"
Yeah.
That was a weird time that the
That
person
was,
asked you.
I
Yeah.
don't want to know that.
Right? We're
No,
like,
no offense.
yeah, you get a little personal there.
I didn't say it. Homer did.
I wasn't the one to ask the question, but I was present when the question was asked, and it caught everybody off guard. Like, why you want to know about my man's boxers? But anyway,
Yeah, no, I remember. Oh, do I remember that? And yeah, oh, you getting a little personal there, but yeah,
But sure, yes.
sure enough,
Yeah.
So
up to the talk, you'll see the socks.
Yes, there's socks, there's hats, there's even going to be.
Did you get the kilt made?
No, I want to get the kilt made. I got to get the kilt made. There's going to be a lobster costume.
Mm.
And I thought about this at Code Mash when everybody was like, oh, we were hanging out in the hot tub. I said, darn, I should have brought my lobster costume and jumped in the hot tub with you. but but
I would say do it in Orlando, but it may be too hot. You might pass out.
Yeah, no, I was thinking Magnolia if I get accepted to Magnolia again. So we'll see. But
aren't you rocking Magnolia right now?
I am rocking the Magnolia JS 2022. It was such a wonderful conference. Kayla and Richard put a great conference together. They had a lot of accessibility persons, I guess you could say there. I gave my talk and I had a lot of people ask me about accessibility, which was great because that's why I do it. So I was going to talk about real quick for a second. This actually, the Learn Accessibility course.
Okay, I was wondering what you were
what you both were talking about. I have to do a workshop at DevNexus in April, and I'm going to get a lot of, I'm going to put how I do things. It's doing an accessibility audit, learning how to do it. But I'm also going to take a lot of different things from a lot of different people, such as yourself in this course and other places too, that I've kind of shaped the way I test. So, like you said, standing on the shoulders of giants, I, up until 2020, didn't really put myself out there, and I've put myself out there since then. And everybody's like, oh, you're an accessibility expert. And I went, expert's going maybe a little too much, but thank you. So yeah, I think this compiled with a lot of other different things, hopefully will bring a good workshop. I found out that somebody's gonna maybe be in attendance to heckle me, so I gotta be ready.
I wonder who that is.
That guy, wherever you are.
Yeah, no, it's good to do workshops, and I definitely learn something every time I do one. Even as the teacher, I don't like the word expert. Like that's just my own thing. I know I got kind of in trouble by somebody in our community who really loves that term and loves to call themselves that.
I love this term, and you should too.
But to me, there's like a inherent connotation that you learn as an expert, you have nothing else to learn. And so you're insular and you are the all-knowing being. And I think in our field, that's impossible. Like not only technology and the speed in which it changes, but with that human factor, again, the people with their own unique perspectives of their own disability, but also the community, like the deaf community or the blind community, deaf blind, other communities, cognitive issues. And it's like both as a community and as an individual that it's like you're always wanting to learn from those different perspectives. So honestly, don't think any of us are experts. So I don't know. No offense to Todd, no offense to me, no offense to Homer, anyone else that wants to call himself that, go for it. I'm not against that. But personally, I have a hard time accepting that as a title.
Yeah, no, I'm just an accessibility professional.
Yeah, that's always learning. That's always.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. I don't even the W3C invited expert. I kind of,
That's pretty cool though. I'm glad.
is.
The W3C has never invited me to anything. So I'm probably banned for some reason from them, but that's
I
something
had
to
to,
unlock at a different time,
I
probably.
had to fill out a form. You have to fill out a form and then submit the form.
That's too much work. No, I can't. Sorry.
It wasn't that bad, but in case anybody's listening from the W3,
She's like,
it was
yeah,
great. It
no,
was a great
that's-
process.
that lift. So speaking of too much work,
Nice
how's
segue.
the how's the PhD program going?
It's going well. I love it. I probably just oversold that. All right, so let me rephrase. I'm done with classes. I took all the really cool
Yes.
things. And I think one of the ones that was most interesting to me was XR technology. So VR, AR, mixed reality as
Mhm.
well, MR. And so I've been toying with some research ideas around accessibility education within that realm. And so I've come up with some interesting ideas, but A, I can't really talk more about that because
Fair.
I got a academia.
Fair.
But B, I haven't quite figured it out either, because there's this really interesting line between, again, concepts of emulation, simulation in those kind of fields. So think about VR, AR, MR, and can you realistically simulate like somebody having a particular disability? And should you, even if you could? And so there's some really interesting ethical questions that kind of come along with that. So I've had some interesting conversations as part of my qualitative research and getting a lot of people's perspectives. I did a lot of research between November and like the beginning of the year. I was really sick, and so you can hear my voice in all these qualitative like audio recordings, and it's like I'm scratching at my voice the whole time. But I've got, and so I'm going through all that information now and kind of looking for trends, and it's kind of interesting to hear what people are saying. And I think they're aligned with what I'm feeling about it, which, spoiler alert, emulations and simulations are always problematic. But I still think it's a technology that's worth exploring, maybe in a different way. So I'm kind of excited about that part of it. But again, like I said, I can't. This is a different kind of shrug emoji. It's like I wish I could tell you more, but I can't.
Gotta wait.
But in 10 more years, you'll get to hear about it when it's published, because that's about how long it takes.
And by that time, 2.2 will be out.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll have
Shrug
3.
emoji.
Oh, this isn't going to be live or anything, right? Nobody's going to hear. No. It's a process. I know that anything, when you have multiple perspectives, it takes a while, and it's good that they take their time and they do all this. It really is. Like I'm kind of being tongue in cheek in some of this, but I think the problem with accessibility in general, it's always reactive, right? The technology first has to exist, and it's got to be a certain age, that technology. And then we have to have integration with assistive tech and other devices. And then we get maybe some rules about it, right? And I know there's working groups even within the XR space where they have suggestions and have like draft forms of things, but nothing's set in stone. So it's like the Wild West. There are no regulations. And as we know in the United States, even if there are quote unquote rules, there's no repercussions for not following those rules in certain, unless you're in certain industries or certain countries or, you know what I mean? So it's like
states.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true though. It's true. And it depends on your industry, and yeah.
That's
complicated.
That just made me think about something. What's your talk that you're giving down in Orlando, Todd?
My talk is on deceptive patterns and the FAST framework, which is the framework for accessible specifications of technologies, which does mention ethics in the web. So
I'm wondering how this is going to go over, because Florida has all those lovely rules about things you can and cannot say or teach. Granted, they apply to schools and so forth, but I wonder how someone in the audience might take that, might have another Paul Mooney moment.
Come get me, Governor Ron.
Oh my God. Hey, I'm going to Florida soon, so don't get me in trouble either. I don't want to
Okay,
get
for real.
stuff
As
in
soon as we,
this. Yeah.
If you
as soon
see
as we
me on the
cross the state
news,
lines.
if you see me on the news, I'm just gonna have my lawyer's number flashed on the screen.
Fair,
Um,
fair.
Nice.
I want to ask real quick, which one of these three countries, or which of the what three countries will you be visiting this year?
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Oh yeah.
So I
Where you
love to
going?
travel. I love to travel. And so obviously with COVID, that kind of put a damper on travel. And technically we still have it floating around, which I know that I was probably had it, even though I was negative. I was sick for so long, still kind of sick. So anyway, long story short is back to travel. So we're going to Costa Rica. My husband has a work trip that they sponsor, and this one
Nice.
I know, but so he gets to work and I'll be on the beach and hanging out with sloths. So I'm very excited about that in a couple of weeks. So if I disappear, and never come back to tech, that's where I am. And the Netherlands and Norway as part of my, so I work for a company that's headquartered out of Estonia. And so last year was the first time I got to visit that country. It's right next to
Nice.
Russia, which is
Yeah.
interesting
Mhm.
during the invasion of Ukraine and all of that goes with it. But we were safe in Estonia, of course. So I didn't take the time to hang out very long in Europe. But this
Fair.
year I thought maybe it would be better. So I had gone ahead and planned the Norway/Netherlands trip. So we'll see. It may be postponed. We'll see, but
Nice.
it's pretty safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a scary time over
Well,
there. So
Homer and I were in London in November, and that
I
was
saw that.
interesting.
Was it fun though?
It was fun. I mean,
London's
Homer, I
always
don't know
fun.
about you, but I mean,
You know, I got family there, so yeah, we
Oh.
good.
yeah,
Even
we
better.
made
Yeah.
we the speakers made the best of it, and
Oh yeah.
you know,
I
I wasn't
remember.
going to let what happened at the conference itself with the conference deter it. That had been the first time I'd been to London in over 30 years. So
Yeah.
um
I remember that
it worked out.
shenanigans. Yeah. I'm sorry that you all had to go through that.
Oh, that well, you know what? It really had a negative impact on those who, like some people that were there. This was their first tech conference.
Yeah.
Period.
It's heartbreaking.
You know, so we took the time to explain to them this is not how things usually go. This is not what you expect.
Mhm.
There's this, that, and the other that comes with a tech conference that you are not seeing here. So do not feel like this is the best representation at all. Same thing for some of the first time speakers.
Can you
You know?
imagine?
Oh gosh. Yeah, there were a few. They were like, what if no one shows up? What if no one is, we were supposed to have this venue and I don't know what to do now.
It's
And
like your worst fear as a speaker. You're either like no one shows up or like everyone shows up. Like you don't want either one of those things. Just enough where you feel like you're
just a
supported.
happy medium.
Yeah, a little happy
Yeah.
medium. Yeah.
Well,
It's true.
my talk was at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday night.
I remember you said that's a bad spot. I'm sorry. That's
And
You know what, on the real, I swear she did that on purpose.
yeah,
I've been part of being buried as an accessibility speaker at a tech conference. Yes, I know the games.
yeah.
Yep.
So at 5:34, I started unplugging things because I was in an empty room, and I said, "Nah, this isn't."
Yeah.
Then a bunch of people came in, and I actually had I think it was 10 people that I actually got to give the talk. But I was so just like thrown off by everything
Yeah.
that it was just like, you know what? I'll just do this, get it over with, and we'll
Good practice.
move on.
Yeah.
I just laughed. I wasn't laughing at you. I was thinking about the very first talk I ever gave. There were more, it was like a panel, kind of like we all had contributed. It was this organization called Gray Muzzle. And we did the Alley Air through Nobility. They have an air challenge where
Yep.
you work as a team to build a website or to update a website to make it more accessible. And it was like one of the very first times I got to work with accessibility and present. We show up and we have more presenters than we do audience members. And we knew all the audience members, so they only came to support us. And I was like, but we still did it. We got up there, we presented like it was a giant auditorium, and we talked all about accessibility and the cool things we did. I think it was a really great group project and experience, but it was one of those, Todd, like just like you're explaining, like, no, maybe no one's here, but hey, the few people
Yeah.
that are, we had a good time. So
Yeah.
it was a good experience.
And Anna gave sewer tours.
I did not do that. I feel like there's a lot to unpack
It
with that.
So it was a joke. It was a running joke, but I have a picture here. I'm going to show this picture. I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know it was so creepy until I looked.
Okay, wait, before you show it. So this is us. We're coming back from dinner, and we just happen to pass this stairwell that disappears into the blackest abyss I've ever seen.
So you thought I should go down there?
Yeah, for some reason, this dude is just like,
Isn't
what's
that
the
how,
worst
like-
that can happen?
Isn't this how like horror movies like start?
This is exactly how horror movies start, and this is exactly how they end.
Yeah.
So as we are walking by,
Mhm.
this Yahoo just decides to just duck off into Carie. It was so dark we couldn't see him until the flash went off.
And
so creepy.
I'm pretty.
And I was
fair
expecting to
skinned.
see somebody behind him, like,
I know they
damn
never
shame
caught
what happened to Todd.
I don't think they never caught Jack the Ripper. I don't think so. He might be down there still. That's
Yeah,
a good
there's-
one. That's a
or-
great picture.
That is.
Or copycat.
I didn't know the look on my face was so creepy though, but yeah.
And
That's-
so you really can't tell in that photo.
How
But
dark
that
it was,
door,
yeah.
well, one, yeah, how dark it was, but that door is way back. So that whole corridor was just
No,
pitch black. The
no.
light from the street light did not even sink all the way into it.
Are we sure he has both his kidneys still?
Hey,
There are no scars.
They did it laparoscopically. Wow, that was nice of them.
You know what? I questioned if this is even him that actually came back.
It's a doppelganger.
Mhm.
Could be.
You got snatched up.
It's a doppelganger, definitely. It's one my cat.
But no,
Uh,
London is fun. Yeah. Like I said, I got family there. It's extended family. One of my best friends, he lives out right outside in Milton Keynes. And so me and wifey, we
Mhm.
would travel over there. I mean, before the pandemic, he would come
Yeah.
see us. And then the next year we would go see him, and pandemic obviously squashed that. So we're going to try to kick things off this year. Hopefully everything
Mhm.
works. If not, maybe we'll be in Australia visiting our friends over there. We'll see. But Norway
Ooh.
is definitely on my list, as well as the Netherlands. I got close friends that live in Den Haag, so I want to get out there
Yeah,
and go see them.
I've traveled around there, but not there specifically. So yeah, I'm excited to get back into the swing of things again, knowing that it's
Mhm.
not 100% safe out there, but
Yeah.
I'll mask up and do what I need to do. But it's,
Yep.
yeah, I can't help but want to travel though. I get that itchy feeling, like I just want to have new experiences and, visit people as you were just explaining. Yeah, it's nice to
Yeah.
catch up.
Yeah, I want to get back over to Japan. So
That's my dream. That's my dream. Never been. So, hey, anyone listening, the one person that's listening that lives in Japan, let me know because I'll come and visit you.
yep.
Need an invite. Excuse. I need an excuse.
Indeed.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
we
We'll
were
have to
supposed to
talk
be there.
more. Were you?
Yeah, we were planning to move there in right before we got pregnant.
Wow.
And then we even decided, we were going back and forth. Do we have little one over there or do we have
Yeah.
him here? And since this was my wife's first, we were like, you know what, just in case there's any complications,
Makes sense. Yeah.
let's go ahead and stay stateside. Well, he was born, then lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and Japan locked everything down.
they locked hard. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
So, we're still like, all right, when do we get to go back, and we got to start the whole process over again, which is kind of difficult now. So we'll see.
I've heard that. I know some people, like, again, people that I work with in Estonia, but also there were people that worked for them in Ukraine and they left. A lot of them left and some went to the United States. And so I was talking to them and like, when you live in and are born in a certain country and you're not trying to live in a different country, you don't realize all the hoops that people have to jump through. And especially, you know, refugees, in your case, you know, and even just moving countries without being a refugee, but it's like, there's a lot you have to go through. And it's like, wow. And like, for instance, he can't leave the United States until like 3 years or something, because I don't know why, because I don't know, they're not going to come back, but
yeah,
I'm not really sure all those different rules, but they're very
I knew someone that was in
specific.
that position, and yeah, he had a family emergency, but he could not leave
Yes.
because if he left, he would not be allowed to come back into
That's
the
what they
States.
said to him too. Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Which I was just like, that's jacked up.
So you are in luck. We have 2 people in Japan.
Awesome. They're my new best friends.
I'm just checking out the
Okay.
Hajime mashite.
Exactly.
one in Tokyo and one in Kanagawa. So
Kanagawa.
Yeah, that is a dream for sure. It was on my list. We were actually thinking about going to the Olympics in Japan when they were hosting a couple years back. And then obviously I'm thankful we didn't book all those flights and trip plans, but yeah, it'll happen eventually.
So
yeah. Or I'll just like tag into the suitcase with Homer. You'll be surprised when you open it up and you're like, oh,
just pop it open. I'm like, oh, Carie,
I'm here.
Tammy, this is Carie.
no, don't forget the extra large one with me in it. Come on now.
Oh my gosh, what? They won't allow us to bring lobsters in.
Oh, we don't have to. I know where to get them.
He needs a special permit for that.
Yes, I do.
Oh, and speaking of seafood in Japan, so when you do get a chance to go over there, when you get to Tokyo, down at the docks where the fish market is, amazing. The best sushi you will ever eat in your entire life.
Do you just eat it like on the dock and it just jumps in your mouth?
What was really cool about that? This just took a completely different turn. We're no longer talking about tech or anything. We're now talking about travel and cuisine.
You can cut this part out.
We when we got there, you know, you would think with all the fish and seafood around, that it would smell like that.
It's not, because it's fresh.
It did not. It did not smell like that. We were walking around like there's literally squid hanging in front of me, drying out like squid jerky. Can't even smell it. I was like, this is the largest crab I've ever seen that was alive. This thing was in a tank by itself, as it should have been.
No, it wasn't. It was in a tank with a bunch of other crabs.
And now it's alone.
And now it's alone.
They had a kaiju in that tank. That thing was huge. I have pictures of it. I have to send them to you, but I'm like, where did you find this crab from? So, but yes, when you get over there, definitely make sure you go down to the seafood market that's down there. It's an amazing experience. People are cool too. They'll try to get you to buy all the stuff though.
I'm excited. Now you got me excited about Japan. I'm not going there yet, but
I know we gotta get
put
Norway
that in the universe.
out the way.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands.
Exactly.
So as we come up on time, is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Well, that's very dangerous to ask an accessibility professional about if they want to talk about anything.
Okay.
He's laughing. They'll see Todd's laughing because he knows, and Homer's like, "What?" It's because
I have a feeling
we have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. No, I mean, I'm just excited that we got to do this, and big fans of both of yours for years, and so it's just kind of good to.
Did you really go to Safe Route?
I mean, yes, I can talk about what
she did.
It's Friday, man.
All the more reason.
I don't have any deep dark secrets. I'm an open book for the most part. So I don't know if you want to hear me say something more, then just I'm just
messing with you.
I could softball it and say, what do you think of accessibility overlays? But
How many more hours do you have?
That's just
Yeah, that's
you know what, honestly, we need to do a podcast about overlays. We definitely do need to do a talk on overlays and explain just the dangers of using them and why we shouldn't be using them.
You should actually,
Yeah.
because I think so. One thing, definitely have Shell Little on, because she's got lots of really great, amazing thoughts about that topic. And there's other people, of course, but that's one of the people that was first kind of sounding alarms. Obviously, Carl Groves made his overlay fact sheet. But I will say though, like coming from where I was, which was like a DQ, and like everyone knew about accessibility, didn't have to talk about it, to where I am now, where like I'm one of the only ones who knows about it in the organization besides my small team. I can see how those things are confusing, and the way they market it and the way they make it smooth. And of course, who wouldn't want to be able to press a button or install this little piece of JavaScript and it fixes everything? Like that's a dream. I think the problem is that dream is not a reality. And so, they're being sold this dream, right? And there's a lot of money behind that dream. And so a lot of people get tricked into thinking like they're the literal clients that think I did the right thing by installing this. And for you to tell them, actually, you made it worse, and that's a really hard thing to tell people.
And then they double down on it.
Well, no one likes to admit they made a mistake.
Facts.
Yeah.
I was reading an article today where the guy was talking about the cost of making your project accessible. And he was talking about how the cost can be expensive because you're doing things after the fact. So it takes more time, more resources to do that. And he was saying that, accessibility is expensive because everybody wants to go the cheap route and make things inaccessible. I was like, yikes. And it made me think about overlays, because folks go, oh yeah, like you said, what's the easiest route to get there? What's the cheapest route to get there? Oh, we'll just add this one line of JavaScript and it solves all of our problems. Magic. No, absolutely not.
I had said in my talk last year, when I mentioned overlays in my, bringing accessibility to your organization, I would mention that, one line of JavaScript on your site does not make it accessible. Like putting on a pair of Nikes does not make me Michael Jordan. So
speaking of that, this is I've got one plug for you then. I am going to be talking at AxeCon in March, and it's related. I mean, it's sort of related to that. It's that concept of shifting left. And so I'm in the design track, and I'm like, I'm not a designer. What can I do in the design track? Okay. Well, you know what I can talk about is the handoff. So a lot of times as a front-end developer, I'd get a design comp, and then I had to make the choices. Like, how am I going to code this? Right. And sometimes certain things are outlined and other things I get to choose, like, Stack Overflow. What is the, how do I make a radio button or something? Right. And so you're like looking things up, copy paste, we've all done that. We've all been there. And so the real challenge is taking that pause and thinking, okay, am I making the most inclusive choice? Right. And that's how I kind of even got started and everything. So this talk is going to be about that handoff, the annotations that they can provide, that designers can provide their front-end developers. So you're not telling developers, hey, this is the way you do it. It's more of a, hey, be aware that, this is a heading level 1, or this is, needs to have an accessible label, but you can code it however you want. You can use whatever, foundational pieces that you want. But it's just kind of giving parameters around those choices. So I think about accessibility all the time when the sense of people think of it as a constraint. And I think of it more as, we're kind of, we're eliminating some choices. So we have millions of choices. Okay, let's refine that and give you like 5 choices, because these we found are the most accessible, but you still have flexibility. And then again, depending on your environment and your options, what you can modify, you have certain choices taken away from you, right? So you might end up with like 1 or 2 choices. But you still have those options, right? So it's like this, what is it, like an like a design challenge or a coding
Mhm.
challenge, right? It's not supposed to be restrictive. It's supposed to be a place where you can use your imagination and think creatively, not just being constrained for constraint's sake, but there's reason behind, the inclusion piece of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited about that talk that I haven't written yet, but should be good. It's gonna be great, I'm sure.
I'm looking at the lineup now, and you got our friend Anna Cook is also speaking. This is a big list of a lot of great
Mhm.
people in
Free
accessibility.
conference too.
Yep,
Yeah.
totally free. Denny Boudreau, I see. Rachel DeTulio, our friend Ben Myers. I mean, we've had most of them on this. Shell is on here as well.
Mhm.
So definitely worth
Ben is Ben's a trip.
checking out. Ben is a trip, yes. But there's a lot of a lot of knowledge here that is going to be shared if people can get to it, definitely, free. You
Yeah.
can't pass
Well,
it
and
up.
yeah, I think it's one of those ones too that you sign up for it, you can't attend it, but you can watch the recordings later because they send you
Mhm.
all the links. So,
Yeah.
and they're, I think they add the captions and all the good things that you would expect from a conference like that. So,
Yep.
yeah,
If
exciting.
not, Meryl's going to come for him.
I know, as she should.
Yes, she.
I love Meryl. She's
Her and
amazing.
Sam.
Yes.
Yep. So you're on Twitter at Carie Fisher with 1 R. You're on
I am
GitHub.
still there, sort of. Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah, that's
You're on
I'm
Mastodon
on-
as well, too.
Mastodon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mastodon, LinkedIn. I had like 10 messages in my inbox the other day. Would you like to be a data analyst? That's not what I do.
But you might want to be it. I don't know. They're just asking.
Always
But you work
try for
with
something.
computers.
Yeah.
You work with computers. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
True.
And you have slides on Noticed, I see, which I use Noticed. I love Noticed. It's a great platform for slide decks.
Yeah, I'm random places, but not super active. Like I'm sad about the whole Twitter thing being taken over by the new CEO because I think, a lot of great voices have left. And even if they're on Mastodon, they're hard to find sometimes. And LinkedIn, is a crapshoot some days, but
Indeed.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to maybe a new platform that can bring us all back together, but I'm not super hopeful for that yet.
So I have a very accessible app on my iPhone, and it's called Toot. You can't send a tweet with an image until you fill out the alt text.
Oh, that's cool.
I love that app. And I've tested all these new ones that are coming out. Nobody else does it that I know of anyways. There might be an app out there or two that I've missed, but
is that for Mastodon or is that because I've
Yeah.
seen some people have like Toot Cafe or something?
yeah,
Is that
that's
the same
for
one? Yeah.
Mastodon. Yeah, it's an app. It's in the App Store for iOS. Love it.
I'll check it out.
And so we have all those and everything we'll put into the show notes. Carie, I want to thank you very much for spending time with us today. It's been a pleasure. A great time talking and chatting with you as always. It's been a while. We were on
Stephanie Eccles.
Eccles show. Yeah.
Oh,
It's been a
wow.
while.
That's been a while. So it was great to catch up with you. And Homer, anything else?
No,
Stunned
I
silence.
have nothing. I mean, again, congrats on all the success with Learn Accessibility. And I wish you continued success, especially with the PhD program. I know how grueling that can be.
10 years later, maybe I'll graduate.
Hey,
No.
I've been talking with my dad because I've been weighing that option as well. It's just like, do I want to go back to school to do the same thing, HCI?
Yeah.
But obviously, my approach is from the lens of a neurologist. versus a neurologist that's an engineer, so I've been thinking about that. And he was like, why do you want to do that? I said, so that people take me more serious when I go to write these books. He was like, makes sense. Do you need a PhD to do that? And I was like, no, I don't. But I also got a 3-year-old running around the house too.
No.
So
it's not
just
enough time, that's for sure. But don't do it because you're scared or worried about it.
Oh,
just
no. That
go
one,
for it.
yeah,
That's just money. That's just your life.
Yeah, no, I swim with sharks. Literally, I
I
literally
believe
dive
you.
with sharks. So it's just like
that's nothing then.
stuff like that. I don't shy away from challenges, just like you. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let's get through it. It's more along the lines of, do I have the time to do it?
Yeah. You want to do a quality job. I understand that completely. Yeah. Well, good luck in whatever you guys do. I'm sure I'll find you online and maybe our paths will cross soon enough in real life. I mean,
We'll be
besides
around.
Todd and I being in your suitcase when you go to Japan next time.
Yeah.
Like, why is this one so freaking heavy? It's got Todd in it. Sir, you need to check this.
Hey, I'm trying. I know I got to get to the gym, but come on now. I'm working.
I went lobster noodling. Don't worry about it. It's just seafood.
Just a lobster. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been another
awesome.
episode of Front End Nerdery podcast, and we will catch you next time when Homer and I decide to put something together with Band-Aids and Scotch tape. So,
and bubble gum.
Yes. So thank you, everybody. And thank you again, Carie, and hope to see everybody next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.